Okay, so in this video I will compare the Model X at Raven. It's called Raven. It's basically the 100 kilowatt hour pack in the Tesla versus an earlier version, well, it was pre-Raven, but basically 200 kilowatt hour packs charging at well, the first one here I can show you here. Okay, let's just roll it. So the left is the Model X Raven, the newest one, on the 150 kilowatt supercharger, and on the right we have 100D on the CCS adapter, I mean on the CCS. So you see that immediately the old one is going straight up to 131 kilowatt, but you see that at supercharger it ramps up really slow, and I did heat up properly. I did use navigate to the supercharger and all that, you know, en route warm up. But there finally you see that now we have more peak power on the Raven, so it goes up to 140 kilowatt, but you don't see 150 kilowatt. The 150 kilowatt might be some PR gimmick or maybe before charging loss or whatever, but seems like 140 kilowatt is peak. And now you see that the 100D has already throttled, so it did peak at 130 something kilowatt, but it also throttled very fast. So now it goes a little bit, and you see that we have a little advantage here for charging speed for Raven, but the Raven is in fact slower than the old one because it ramped up so slow. So again, I don't know why. It seems like if you start with 10%, then it has a slow ramp up. It seems to ramp up faster if you start with, let's say, 15%. But at one point, the old one should overtake the new. They're around, almost there, 38%, both of them. They are almost neck on neck now because the Raven is charging faster. But suddenly you see what the heck is going on here. The Raven speed just drops like a rock. Well, okay, almost, but yeah, look at that. And now, compared to the old, you see that the old one still maintains some decent speed, around 45%. So I'm not sure what the heck is going on there. It seems like they have tuned the charging curve to be more aggressive, just to show you that high peak power, you know. And you see those screenshots everywhere, people posting, oh, you know, I'm getting 140 kilowatt. Well, that is nice, but the problem is that most people, they will charge at 50% or 60%, and you see now that it's actually slower than before. Yeah. It's just the way the batteries work, I think, is that you can only take a certain amount of charging speed until you have to throttle. And because both of these cars, they have the old battery design with the old cooling and the old cells, then they are not really made to take some massive high speed. I could be wrong. I mean, Tesla could be holding back something here. We'll see. I might make a follow-up video later when they release the 200 kilowatt update, but you already see now that at the same state of charge, the Raven is charging slower than the old update. So this is a big disappointment. I was hoping the opposite, that the Raven would have a higher charging curve, because apparently Raven packs, they have a different name, a different revision if you look under the car. But no, it doesn't seem to make any improvement. Yeah. So what should I say? It just goes slower and slower. I'm not sure if you should watch this. It's almost painful to watch how slow, or I mean how aggressive it throttles compared to the old. So this again, I should point out that, you know, this is for Model X, and I will have the same thing if I did with a Model S Raven. But the Model 3 is different, because Model 3 uses the 2170 cells, and Model 3 has a completely different architecture for cooling. The whole battery has been designed in a better way. Yes. So basically what you're seeing here, these two cars, even though they are fairly new, they still rely on design and tech from 2012, whereas Model 3 has tech from about 2018, you know, so way newer tech. Yeah, and wow, you can see, at this point, and you see it goes a little bit back and forth, but okay, we can't compare them directly because the state of charge is not the same. But let's say at 80% on the old, we're getting about 50 kilowatt. Okay, let's see when the Raven hits 80%. Are we still seeing 50 kilowatt? Oh yeah, more or less. So you see that at this point they flatten out, and the charging curve seems to be about the same. But again, the old one has this lead at lowest state of charge, and it seems to just keep that lead all the way to 90%. So interesting. Yeah, interesting, because you know, the only way to find out how those two cars charge before and after the update is to see the whole charging curve and compare them, just like I do. Because just looking at some peak power will not give you the right impression of the story. Yeah. So we will see. I guess I will make a follow-up video once we get the 200 kilowatt update. I suspect that it will just peak at 200 or 190 kilowatt for a little while, and then it will probably throttle very aggressively, because you know you can't just you can't just make any magic happen here. And because okay, one thing I didn't point out here in this charging video is that there's no sound here from the charging session, but the fans were going quite high. I mean, if you sit in these cars, the S and X, already at around 30%, you will hear the fan speed and the heat pump going, you know, to cool down the battery, very aggressive. But when you listen to, let's say, a Model 3 or an actually not that, but Model 3 or e-tron or I-Pace, you will hear that they make almost no sound until high state of charge, and like 80%. Then they start pumping a little bit, because they have less internal resistance and better design on things. Yeah, okay, so now let's go to part 2, because now we have a slightly different setup here. So before I start it, let's just freeze the screen for a bit. So in the top left corner we have e-tron. Yeah, and then we have the EQC. Well, okay, you can see all labels, but I should explain a little bit that the I-Pace here, you see that the time is slightly off the counter, and that's because I actually started with 8%, and I tried to get 100 kilowatt. You see that we see 97 kilowatt briefly, but it doesn't keep that 100 kilowatt for very long. It seems like it wants to charge at close to 100 kilowatt below 10% only. So most of the time you will probably arrive with 10% or more, then you don't really see the 100 kilowatt. Yeah, and then, okay, the last one, the Model X, is the Raven. You can recognize the same white-ish screen. So now we will charge from 10 to 90%, and let's see which car finishes first. So let's roll the tape. So immediately, the e-tron goes straight up to 140 kilowatt like a boss, yes. And then EQC hovers around 105. Okay, that is expected. And you see I-Pace already throttled very early. I have to speak really fast now. And then Model X is at, okay, you see it has a slow ramp up, okay. And then e-tron is still flexing it at 140. Oh, it goes faster and faster because the voltage goes up, the amp is the same, and then the speed goes up. Same for EQC. It's 107 kilowatt. It just slowly goes up, but 107 kilowatt seems to be the maximum for EQC. And then I-Pace is still hovering at around 80 kilowatts. I'm not sure if it goes faster than 80. We can see maybe it should be 85 kilowatt roughly. But now finally we see that Model X is at 140 kilowatt. Ooh, so it's finally charging fast. But you'll see that it starts. Oh, there it's already ramps a little bit. Model X. Oh, that's fine. Okay, e-tron is hovering at 140. It should slowly go up. I think 100, close to 150 is the maximum there. But also I should point out that the state of charge here cannot be directly compared, because Model X has the most range, the most efficiency, the biggest battery. So the percentage in Model X counts the most. And then second is the e-tron. And then third is I-Pace, and EQC actually has the lowest capacity on all these four. Yes, okay, let's see now. 143 kilowatt on the e-tron. Wow, that's awesome. EQC, EQC is hovering at 109. It's 110, which is the maximum they say on paper. I-Pace, it's hovering at 80. That's pretty okay, decent. Yeah, flat there, kind of flat. But the Model X, oh no, the Model X is throttling. Oh no, it's throttling. Look at that, 110, 109, oh, 108. Oh, drop.
$25, 6 here. $25, 6 on them. Down 25. them beard 6 on down 25 at a bit of beard 6 out here $26 down 6 at a bit of beard 25 at a bit of beard 6 out down 6 at a bit of 7 $27 hey now eat a bit of there don't eat.
Very disappointing. And e-tron, oh wow, e-tron is already at 57%. It's still 145 kilowatt. Wow, that is the power of the e-tron. Yes, this is the okay. If it's called e-tron 55, but I should have said that. But EQC start throttling now a little bit, but still 100 kilowatt at 48%. That is quite good. Okay, iPace also same there. You know, very stable, hovering on 82 kilowatt, even at 40%. And what about Model X? Oh, it's at 50%. But oh, look at that! Look at that! Model X at 50% is 96 kilowatt, and then EQC at 53% is at 95 kilowatt. So actually EQC charges at higher power than the Model X at the same state of charge. And then e-tron is just like a boss, but now it starts throttling a little bit. Only 136 kilowatt, but the throttling is not too bad. You see, it's still hovering there, and that is still damn good for 76%. Okay, let me see. EQC, it's slowly ramping down. Yes, Model X is also ramping down. Oh, very bad. And the iPace, oh, now you see around 50, a little over 50%. Then the iPace will also start ramping down. And you said, you know, I said that I will charge to 90% only, but e-tron will actually go to 100%. So you have to pay attention that most other cars here, they will stop at 90%, but e-tron will go to 100% just to show the raw power of the charging speed of e-tron. So now e-tron at 87% still charges at 85 kilowatt. That is just unmatched, and no other car in this comparison can match e-tron. But also keep in mind that e-tron is the thirstiest of them all. Yes. Okay. Now let's see what's going on. The EQC is charging at 82 kilowatt. Model X is charging at only 65 kilowatt, even with lowest state of charge. Oh, that is niche good. Okay, there we go. E-tron passed 90% and is still going. You know, you can see there that around at only about 30 minutes, the e-tron was already at 90%. But you know that e-tron is so thirsty, you can say, okay, let's stay 100% then, because it's so thirsty. It makes up for the thirstiness of the e-tron, okay? Now EQC is still, that is really impressive with the EQC. It still charges so fast, even at close to 80%. Look at iPace. iPace at 70% charges slower than the EQC at 10% higher. So yeah, iPace looks like a very bad deal right now, but you will see that Model X is even worse when it comes to charging speed. But okay, Model X, hang on, e-tron is about to finish. Oh, there, e-tron finishes. Wow, in about 40 minutes, the e-tron charged to 100%. Now, e-tron is just flexing there like a boss. Okay, now EQC gets close to 90%. Who's going to be the second one? Oh, it's going to be EQC. Oh, yes, I also like EQC. Look at that, look at that. Still 87% and 58 kilowatt. Just try to remember that EQC, close to 90%, still has over 50 kilowatt charging speed. And you can see that even at this moment, EQC has higher charging power than the two other cars. Okay, now we have the race between iPace and Model X. So how it's going to be? Who's going to be the first one to charge to 90%? Okay, let's see. 48 kilowatt on the iPace. Model X is at 46 kilowatt. Oh, iPace is actually charging slightly faster, and iPace also has a lower capacity than Model X. So it's about well, actually, let me see. Model X is 92 kilowatt hour. iPace is let's say about 82 kilowatt hours. So yeah, that's actually a big difference. So it's not too fair to only compare the percentage. And like I mentioned, Model X has better efficiency than all these other cars, especially at higher speed. So you have to also take that one in account. Maybe I should make a video where I also talk about the efficiency and the actual kilometers per hour added, because there will be lots of fanboys right now who will complain that this is not fair. Model X is most efficient. Model X is the biggest battery. Yes, okay, let's make a follow video. But okay, let's see now. iPace is at 87%, Model X is at 86%. They are actually pretty close, very neck and neck there. But you see that iPace is charging at slightly higher speed than the Model X, and also iPace has smaller batteries. So right now it seems like iPace will finish. Come on, it's gonna finish, and then Model X is still behind. Oh no. I did 9%. Okay. Oh, almost an hour. There, 90%. iPace finished within less than 1 hour. Model X is still charging. 35 kilowatt, look at that speed, 35 kilowatt, and compared to the other cars, e-tron was charging at 50 kilowatt or something at 100%. At 90%, it was charging at, how much was it again? 80 kilowatt something? That is insane, but the Model X is just there, about 1 hour, over 1 hour, it finished. Yes. But okay, so anyway, I should also tell you that, again, Model X will, at 90%, Model X will get about, let's say, proper highway speed, 120 kilometers per hour. Okay, now let's say the VLTP range then. 90% on the Model X is about 450 kilometers, yes. Whereas 90% on these other cars is only about 350 kilometers, yeah, roughly. So you see, Model X has 100 kilometers more. So actually, I have to analyze more data and I have to do more crunching here, but it's not fair to just compare like this because, e-tron finished really fast to 100%, but the Model X, because it's so efficient, it can only charge to about, I think about 70%, 75% roughly. And that would equal the same amount of range as the other cars, roughly 75-80% maybe. So that's how it should be when you want to compare it directly, yes. But okay, still I would point out that I'm still a little bit disappointed that the Model X throttles, or I mean the Tesla Model S and X pack, yeah, not the Model 3, S and X, that they throttle so fast, because you see that the other cars, they have a more, how they say it, a flatter curve, Even at high state of charge, you still get decent speed. So I wish Tesla will update this and make the S and X pack faster, like similar to Model 3, because the Model 3 pack would just beat the heck out of these 4 cars when it comes to range and charging speed. It's not even fun to see how fast the Model 3 charges. Yeah, but again, the Model 3 is in a different segment. That's why I didn't have it here. But okay, anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this this interesting commentary. So yeah, if you have any comments, please leave them below. Let the fanboy discussion begin. So that's it for now. Hope you guys, well, I already said that. Talk to you later then. Yes.